Do we have an update on Daniel Ricciardo's recovery and when, if we will see him sometime soon?
Yeah, Singapore doesn't look very likely. It looks very unlikely, which is not a surprise. I mean, he broke a bone in his hand to get that back to a state where he can go racing. Seems unlikely. So apparently the recovery is going well as could be expected. Kind of better than perhaps your average person if they broke their hand. But yeah, it's going to take some time. And yeah, Singapore looks like Lawson's going to be back in the car. And then Suzuka, I'd be very surprised as well, just because it's a demanding circuit. It's only 1 week after Singapore. And they have talked about not rushing Daniel back. So, yeah, I in my mind, I think Qatar is a realistic goal. But I don't know, Nate, if you've heard any differently.
No, yeah, that lines up with everything I've heard. I think Daniel would want to come back as quickly as possible, but also, he can kind of undo a lot of the goodwill from those first 2 races he had back if he rushes back, isn't fully fit, can't compete properly. So I think, he at the moment, I think from what I'm hearing is I think even with this injury, I think it's pretty likely he'll stay with AlphaTauri next year. So Liam Lawson now is in an interesting position because he's got this chance to kind of almost audition for potentially for the Sonoda seat. So I think that's more where AlphaTauri's head's at the moment. Obviously, would be great to have him back in the car soon, but good on Lawson as well. He finished 11th at the weekend. I think it was pretty impressive. I think Ricciardo was targeting Monza as a place where he could get points. When he first came back, they looked at that and said that's a good opportunity. So, yeah, pretty gutting for him. But yeah, I think Qatar sounds likely. And I mean, I think Daniel Ricciardo, I don't think there's any chance he'd ever miss Austin. I think he could have broken both his hands, both his feet. I think he'd still find a way to race in Austin, regardless. So we'll definitely have him back for the 2 US races, and potentially Qatar as well. I could see that happening. So in a long way of saying, yes, I agree with everything Laurence just said.
Apologies. So if you missed the 2 Asia races, okay, fine and good. Qatar is on October 8th. So if unfortunately there's a setback or something and he misses the next 3, at COTA, you've got quite a bit of time to really work with to make sure you're definitely healthy going into the United States Grand Prix. So obviously, those fans really want to be there and see him race, especially now that he's back in the sport.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.